Hello, welcome to Off the Cuffs with Bobby Kimbrough. As you can see, I am not Bobby Kimbrough. My name is Rocky. People get us confused all the time, so I just want to clarify that I am, in fact, Rocky, not Bobby. Today, we have Ashley Conrad today. I'd like to welcome you to the podcast. Today is we're kicking off National Telecommunicators Week, and Ashley is our communications manager. So, Ashley, if you don't mind, tell the folks a little bit about yourself, about your life, about how long you've been here, and sort of what you do here.
So I started here in 1999, so I've been here 20 years. I oversee the communications center as a whole. We have 28 telecommunicators, that's including 6 part-time. My job is to keep up with the schedule, all of our CAD information, ensure that they are following protocol and procedure.
Okay. And tell us a little bit about how the communications is set up. I mean, it's not just one person in there taking phone calls and dispatching officers on the radio. Tell us a little bit about how the setup is in there.
So the way the setup is you usually have 5 communicators on a shift. That's including a supervisor. So when you call 911, it's not only one person. One person might be taking your call, but there's other people in the room that's dispatching. So that's not, when they ask you questions, it's not delaying anything or delaying you to get help. They're just asking additional questions for officer safety to ensure that they understand what's going on and where our officers need to respond.
Okay, it can get pretty chaotic in there sometimes, Kane. I know, like you said, you're not just answering the phone. You've got one person answering the phone, one person dispatching. You have to communicate between each other. Tell us about how stressful that can get. It's not just sitting there answering the phone.
It can get very stressful because not only is that dispatcher who's taking your call, they may also be talking on the radio to an officer. So they're muting the phone, listening to what you're saying, so having a conversation with you, but also dispatching and giving information to an officer. So they have to be, ability to multitask is a must. So they can have 3 conversations going on at one time. So if you're standing in there, you don't know if to talk to them or if you should need to not talk or what have you. So they're very talented individuals.
Okay. And I agree. For the folks that don't know, you guys are our lifeline. You get the first call. You're the one that guides us in, tells us what's going on before we get there. Y'all are our eyes before we get to the scene. And if nobody said it enough, we really appreciate the job you do. And what you do is one of the most important parts of the sheriff's office. I mean, when we talk about first responders, you guys truly are the first people that take the call and send us out there. And so it's a very important position to have, and it shouldn't be taken lightly. I think you guys should be right up there on the scale with the sworn officers in everything from recognition to pay, just every part of the aspect. You guys are truly the first lines. So let's talk about some of the calls that come in. Is there one that really sticks out to you that would be like maybe one of the craziest calls that you've ever had?
I can't choose just one. There's funny and there's also some very intense calls that I have taken. Part of some of the funny ones I've taken is people saying that they have individuals taking pictures of them through their electrical outlets, things like that. One of the funniest ones I've had is a lady who called and was adamant that the Wake Forest football team was actually in her attic and wanted an officer to come tell them that they needed to leave because she did not want them there. So to keep her calm, because she was adamant that they were there, keep her calm until officers got there to actually go up there and tell them to leave, was kind of challenging at times to come up with something to keep talking to her about. But it was very interesting. That was early on in my career, so I really didn't know what to do, but we just kept her talking on the phone until we got there. Yeah,
and I know you did, in fact, send someone out to that call. I think every agency's got one of those. I've been to those calls before where they tell me people's up in the attic, and we'll go up there and take our asp or something and knock on some rafters and say, y'all get out of here, and run the people out, and usually that makes them happy. I had the pleasure of working at a smaller agency to where we had to come in and relieve communicators while they would take their lunch breaks and stuff like that. And we had a lady that has since passed, but she used to call in, and I just remember keeping her on the line for an hour at a time. She would start talking, and I just put her on hold and take other calls, and then pick back up there and say, I'm listening. She'd be writing me poems and stuff like that. So I know you guys really have to put up with a lot with people with all types of mental issues and stuff like that calling in, and you're always very understanding, and it takes a special person to keep those people calm and let them know that we really believe what they're telling us, so that they don't feel like that we're making fun of them or anything like that.
And we also have people that call that they just want to talk. They don't have anybody. They live alone, especially our older population. So you do have those phone calls, and you do sympathize with them. They don't have anybody to talk to. So we do have that conversation with them, and all they want to do is say thank you and I appreciate you listening to me. And then they don't really want an officer there. They just want somebody to talk to. So we do have those phone calls as well. And we do have some that just call and say, I just want to say I appreciate everything that y'all do. So those are always nice as well.
Yeah, you guys do an awesome job with all that. Let's switch roles and talk about some of the more serious calls that you got. Have you got one that really, I know as an officer, there's calls that we respond to, and that once you get there and you see the scene and everything, stuff just sticks with you for the rest of your career and probably the rest of your life. And I think that people understand, what first responders go through, what we have to see on the scene, stuff that just sticks with us for a little bit. But I think, again, people that are kind of underappreciated and they don't think about it as the people that are actually talking to people when they're in desperate times, and they're, it's how hard it is for you as a communicator to try to keep them calm, when they're saying, when are they going to get here? I know they're coming, when they're going to get here, where they're at, and you're trying to assure them. And then there's stuff that you hear. I know in the past that there's been times that people in communications has heard people take their last breath before we get there, and they have to live with that, And so just tell us about a call maybe that actually just really touched you, so that people see that it's not just someone in there answering the call and dispatching somebody, that you guys truly have to work and live just as if you were out there on the street with us.
There was one call that, I have a couple calls that really stick with me, but there's one, the gentleman called and he said, the only thing that he said to me is, I just want you to know that I'm an organ donor and I'm going to take my life. So first thing I did was got the address where he was, wanted to get his name. And then I started talking to him about his family, trying to keep him on the phone, trying to keep him calm till we got there. And he said, I'm just done talking to you, and hung up the phone. We wasn't there yet. It was still another probably 4 minutes before the officer got there. In those 4 minutes, I probably tried to call him back about 30 times, just kept on hitting redial. He never answered. They got there, and he had shot himself in the backyard. And in my mind, I was thinking, well, could I kept him on the line and it could have changed anything? And it's not anything that I could have done to change it, but it was still hard for me. And I had to go on to answer the next call.
Yeah, and I think that people can see watching you now that's sticks with you for a long time, and that what you guys do is not to be taken lightly. That what you guys do is serious. It has long-lasting effects on you, and I think that the general public just needs to know how much you guys are truly affected, and I think you're demonstrating it right now. And again, I hate you have to go through stuff like that. And I hope that there's some support system out there, or if it's something that we need to do to increase the support for the communicators during traumatic events like that, we certainly need to keep that up.
Well, we do have our chaplain services here. They're really good. But the people that you work with is the best. They really know what you're going through, so they do reach out to you even on your days off after you had an incident like that. So that's always a plus. And there are other, we have EAP with the county itself, but there's other ways. There's other organizations throughout the country that has ways for you to contact them if you need to. You don't have to tell anybody that you want to talk to somebody.
Right, and that's a good source. I've used them myself because we all need it sometime, and it's an excellent source. And I highly advise people not to feel weak because they need to talk to somebody. To me, it's actually weak not to. You just don't trust yourself enough to think that you can talk and get through it and still be as strong as you were. But the fact is, you can.
Oh, yeah, very much so. And then you have the other aspect of that. You have officers that are calling out on the radio. You're got their lives in your hands that you have to be responsible for. You have to know where they are and where to send them help. So, and when they don't answer the radio, it really affects you.
Yeah, you guys actually are our lifeline, and you do have our back. You call all the time, keeping check on the guys, and you're kind of like our guardian angels, because sometimes out on the field we get involved in stuff, and we forget how long we've been out there, or who's coming, how far away they are, and it's always, sometimes it takes us 2 or 3 calls before we actually hear you call. But when we do hear you call, and it reminds us, hey, somebody's listening, and we're not alone, it's actually a good feeling, even though the responding officer hadn't got there yet, just to hear you guys' voice calling and checking on us and knowing that somebody's still watching us, that we're not out there alone. That really helps. And I don't know if anybody's ever told you that or not, but it was always nice to hear someone checking up on you. Let's talk about communications itself in the building. Where you're at, you don't get a lot of people visiting in there, right? Just
No.
the people that
They don't usually come visit us, no.
Well, how often does your command staff get in there to say hey and talk to you?
Well, the sheriff and the chief deputy really doesn't come up there that much, so I think coming to visit would be really nice. Mm-hmm.
Well, I've seen maps, exits, fire exits, how to get out here in the event, but explain to me exactly how to get there from my office.
Coming out of your office, you just turn left and go straight down the hall, and then take another left, and we're right there.
Well, and I did that, and I went into emergency management.
You need to keep going down the hall a little further.
You have to go through the fire door.
Yes, you do have to go through the fire door.
Well, that scares me. When I see the fire door, I turn around and go back.
Well, that's your problem. You just keep going.
Well, I know I'm a little bad again. How about the sheriff? Does he show up quite a bit?
No, not usually. Not while I'm there anyway. I don't know what he comes. He likes to show up at night too. So, but he doesn't come in there and sit either. But neither do you. So you're more than welcome to come sit anytime. And we do have a little challenge for the sheriff, since he couldn't make it to the podcast today either.
Yeah, I'm here. You have to give me credit for that.
Yes, you are. So one of our crafty communicators, we want him to come in and actually put a headset on and sit down with communications. So she made him a little box here. It's got his name on it, and it's a headset just for him. It's brand new, so he can come and put it on and sit with us for a little bit.
Right. Is it extra large?
It's adjustable. It's okay.
So that's a challenge to you, Sheriff. I think the communications people would like for you to come in there and put this headset on and maybe answer a call or two and see how that works out.
Or you can also work channel 1 and enter that information in, so when you're calling stuff in, you could see how that is. It's always nice.
We do have like a little room where people that apply practice a little bit, don't we?
They actually come sit in communications for a little bit, and we actually put a headset on them, and they're allowed to listen to the phone calls as we take them. So it's an eye-opening situation. We've had some that have come in and sit, and it's like, this is not for me, because they don't realize how much multitasking they have to do. So it's a little overwhelming in the calls that you might hear, because you truly might hear somebody take their last breath or take their life. You don't ever know what that phone call is going to be.
Yeah. I know we are constantly in a struggle to get communicators in. Tell me what we could do as an agency or as a county, speaking with our people across the street, that you think or you feel would make it easier to recruit people to come in and work in communications.
Well, the biggest thing is our pay. Our pay is a lot lower than other agencies, even in the same county as us. So that's one thing. Another thing is, it's a very difficult job, and I feel like that it needs to be something that needs to start. Maybe we get people in high school on up and kind of groom them, kind of like you do explorers, something to do like exploring in communications. I think that would be a good way to start that.
Yeah. Is there any type of communications classes or anything like that at any of the local community colleges or something like that?
Not that I'm aware of, until you actually get in the door because we do have certifications that we're required to maintain from sheriff standards. So that's the only class that I'm aware of that would benefit you as far as this job goes.
How about retention? I noticed we have a kind of a turnover in there a lot too. Would you think that would just be basically people not realizing just how tough that job is, how demanding, and how overwhelming it is to try to multitask as much as you guys have to?
I think it's a little bit of both. One thing is people get burnt out. Burnout is usually about every 2 years, 2 to 3 years. If you notice that we do have a change, usually people last about 3 to 5, if that. Another thing that they want to do is they want to make more money. So they'll go in the private sector. They come here, get the experience and the understanding and the knowledge, and then they can take that and go into the private sector as a vendor of some kind that we use, and they can use their skills there and make, almost double the money.
Yeah. Well, I know you're getting a lot of calls now with COVID-19, people calling for different reasons. Tell us a little bit about that, and maybe there is a different contact number besides the Sheriff's Department. I know we did something on our social media sort of explaining that, but let's just take the time that we got here, because I think you probably still receive some.
We do still
calls.
receive quite a few phone calls. They're not on 911 anymore, so that's always a plus. So the number that you can call if you just want information is 211, and there's also some information on the county website and the CDC website, and you can get that information there. But our non-emergency line, if you want to report what you feel like is a violation, is 336-727-2112. Just don't call 911 for anything like that.
Good deal. Well, I hope the public hears that again and takes some of the burden off you guys and actually get directly to the people that can help them.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us a little bit about the path to get where you are as a leader. Once you get in communications, I know we have communicators, and then we have like different levels of communication.
Well, we have telecommunicators, and then we have lead operators, which is actually not a paid position. They just are willing to take on the additional responsibilities. And then we have shift supervisors who oversee the whole shift as a whole. So we have 4 of those, and then myself. So right now there's not really a stepping stone. We're working to alleviate that, to try to get those stepping stones, kind of like patrol and detention does with the telecommunicator 1, 2, and 3, and then possibly a lead. They're also responsible, those lead operators and the supervisors are also responsible for training our new hires, who they don't receive any additional pay for that, but they take on that extra liability with having to actually listen to not only what they're doing, but also what that trainee's doing.
And does everyone work the same type of shift? Is it a 12-hour shift, rotating shift? What type of shift do you guys work?
They work 12-hour shifts, and they work permanent days or permanent nights. And then we have 2 communicators that just work 8-hour shifts Monday through Friday to kind of help with our call volume at a certain time. We've stated that our call volume is higher Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. until midnight, so we try to cover that.
And do you guys also have some part-time positions that there may be some people out here, especially during these times, that are not able to go to work, that may just be looking for something part-time?
We do have part-time positions right now. They are currently full, but those individuals either had already had previous experience in another agency and then came here, or they were full-time with us and decided to remain part-time with us.
Okay. And I guess my final question would be, with the Telecommunicators Week being in effect, what's something that the public could do that would show their appreciation, or what they could do that make you feel appreciated, or something that I know there's some people out here that would like to show their appreciation, they just don't know how. And so just tell us from your point of view, what would make our men and women and communicators feel appreciated.
They could always call. By all means, they like to hear that thank you over the phone. They can send cards. They really like receiving that acknowledgement that they're appreciated and that people understand what they go through on a daily basis.
Okay. Is there anything that you would like to say or add about your job or the job of the men and women that work under you that you think the public would need to hear?
Well, something that the public probably doesn't know is that telecommunicators are not considered first responders currently. They're considered clerical workers or secretaries. So there's a big push to try to get that changed and try to change us to protective occupation, like patrol or like sworn officers, detention officers, and so forth.
And I would agree that push should go forward, because, like I said, you guys are the true first responders. You're the lifeline. You're the one that guides us in where we need to go. y'all pass real-time information to us. And to me, it's one of the most important jobs and most underpaid jobs. And I think we could all benefit by listening to you guys' story and seeing and listening to what you actually have to go through, and see that it's not just a clerical worker. It's a true first responder that deserves all the recognition that every other responder get. Is there any differences between like sheriff's communications and fire and EMS communications? I know as far as the classifications go, they've sort of got all you guys classified together, but what are some differences between the two?
So we are currently classified as all together. EMS and fire, they do have a big responsibility in that they have to give medical information or possibly life-saving information to a caller. But as far as the sheriff's communicators, they're not only responsible for taking your phone call, they're also responsible for entering everything into our national database, also responsible for keeping up with domestic violence orders. They also have a lot of extra duties that we have taken on, such as doing employment background checks. We are responsible for doing that. We also handle. We also have access to school cameras, so they have to know how to work those. They have to know how to use our pretrial electronic monitoring that we just went to. They have to know how to log in and look that information up. There's also something with the school system called Say Something Anonymous. They have to know how to log in and use that information as well. So they do have a wide variety of tools that they have to know how to use and be effective and efficient at that.
It's definitely a lot to do, and it's a lot to ask for one person to do. So again, I just want to say how much we appreciate you and your staff and all the telecommunicators in the nation. You guys are the bomb. You're the ones that keep us safe. People say that the officers, keep them safe in the community. You keep the officers safe. And so I just want to say again that how much we appreciate that. And so I would like for everyone just to somehow reach out to the telecommunicators in your area and thank them between the days of April 12th and April 18th. That's National Public Safety Communicators Week. And so just reach out to them somehow through a call, through a card, or something like that. I want to appreciate you, or tell you how much I appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Thank you for all you do for the office, and may God continue to smile on Forsyth County Sheriff's Office and our communicators. Thank you.